because swim run is a very equal sport, but it's still more men than women. And I thought that we wanted to showcase women coaches as well.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boys, a swim run podcast. I'm Chip.
And I'm Chris. And this is a really special episode. I'm pretty stoked about this. On the show today, we have Mia Rohman and Fanny Kuhn to talk about their organization, WILD Swimrun. For those of you who don't know, Mia is a pretty badass athlete, and Fanny happens just to be the reigning Ötillö World Champion, which is great. They started this organization called WILD Swimrun that we're excited to tell you more about. We'll tell you more about that later.
Yes, so Catalina's a few weeks in the rearview mirror. We wanted to shout out a couple things. We have double race reports. If you missed those two episodes, we have the Low Tide Boys one. We also have the Arc Souls Add Nature with Helen and Isabella up there, as well as you got to check out the, I guess it's hype video from Ötillö.
It's definitely a hype video.
It's definitely a hype video.
How could you not be stoked watching that?
Crazy drone shots. You just, I guess, during the moment I was kind of caught up racing, and we didn't take as much time as we probably should have to look around at the beauty around us, like Mikkel and Mats had mentioned. But that was done by Rasmus, who was contracted by Ötillö, and that was a cool short film about there.
He also promised on social that he was going to include us in the next year's video. So just if we needed any more pressure.
Yeah, we'll hold him. We'll hold him to that, but he might have to stick around, and he can't go off chasing the lead pack. Or maybe we should get up there.
Yeah,
and
just get the shot right at the beginning.
Just
right at the beginning before we blow up.
What if we did just a dead out 400? Just take off from the start cannon.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah, I think that'd be super funny. So we'll make sure to point ourselves out to him so we can fill his promise to us. But looking ahead, pretty excited about training. I'm actually really stoked to be training for swim run. I recently broke up with the shitty pool that we've been going at, and I know Chipper, you did the same, and we're both joining this 50-meter outdoor pool. That's very nice. Up in
Petaluma, which is a little bit north, and we're excited about that. The sun's out today. It's 75 degrees here in Northern California, so went for a run in a tank top today, and it was like, oh, summer's coming, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to get hot, too.
Speaking of running, both Chris and I are doing the Lake Sonoma 50-miler up in Healdsburg. The jury's out if we're wearing the tether or not together for that, but it is a 50-mile trail race that we're excited
I don't know
about.
if the ultra runners would understand.
I don't think they would appreciate the tether.
That should be fun. Yeah, we're going to run it No Man Left Behind, so we'll just do our usual chit-chat, and I'll probably get mad at you for taking too much time at the aid stations at the beginning, and then once they start fading towards the end, you'll get mad at me.
I'll be like, yeah.
Like, I'll just see you at the finish.
See you later. That is coming up in mid-April. Chris and I promised each other a pinky panda promise, as my daughter calls it, to not stop swimming, which has been our usual crux, I guess. Or usual crux is not the right word. What word am I looking for here?
I think you're looking for just MO.
Yeah, we would do a race that involved swimming, and then after that race was done, we would literally stop for 6 months, and all the hard work
take a break,
down the drain.
I think one thing that I did to kind of keep swimming, because it takes me a little bit longer to kind of refine my stroke, and I feel like I have it, and I want to keep progressing, is actually joined Team Envol, which should be cool to do some specific swim run kind of like protocol workouts. So I'm excited to keep swimming, and I'm actually super stoked on swim run and super motivated for our next races whenever they are.
Same.
So I'm pretty excited to kind of keep progressing there.
I'm looking forward to seeing what some swim run specific training is, because pretty much how we were doing it for Catalina is we had a run plan for these ultra marathons, and then we kind of just tried to throw a couple swims on it a week. Not really any swimming with much purpose or anything, so I'm looking forward to getting some specific swim run training.
Yeah, and I almost feel like our swims were very similar to our runs. When you're training for ultras, you're just trying to get long.
Yeah.
And a lot of our swims got long, which was great, but it wasn't any speed work for the most part or anything like that.
Anywho.
So shout out this week. we just learned about this, but want to give it out to Brent Molesbury, who's the race director at Orcas. He also puts on his own swim run series in the Seattle area. Apparently, I didn't know this, but Ötillö Catalina was his first swim run event. And Odyssey Swimrun tipped us off to this story. They posted it on social that halfway through the race, his teammate gave his goggles to his wife, whose goggles had broken, and then Brent handed over his goggles to his teammate, and who was basically leading all the swims. And he essentially had to do the Parsons Landing swim, which, as we talked about in our race report, was like the hardest swim of the day.
Yeah.
Most challenging. So he did that without any goggles. And then luckily at the next swim entrance, he asked some property owners if they had an extra set, and they hooked him up. But, I mean, talk about like selflessness, and just like it's already a crazy day out there, and you just made it crazier. I mean, talk about sportsmanship and taking care of your teammate and all that stuff. It's got all the stories.
That has everything, and you know what Odyssey mentioned, and what we feel like too. It really embodies the true spirit of swim run. That hey, it's not about you or me. It's kind of about the team and the community, which we really like there.
Yeah. So huge shout out to Brent. Stoked to have met you, and we'll definitely get you on the show. And I want to hear some more details about that story in the coming weeks.
We'll see you at Orcas as well.
Yeah, definitely see you at Orcas. So this week's show, like I mentioned at the start, I'm really stoked about the show. I thought it was a great interview. We recorded this interview while we were in Catalina, and just feel lucky to be able to chat with me and Fanny about their journey in swim run and their organization, WILD Swimrun, which is a place where you can pretty much find everything you need to get out in nature and enjoy swim run. They specifically work to get women and girls to try the sport, and you'll hear more about this in the interview, but we encourage everyone to check out their WILD Swimrun Club, which is a paid membership where you get workouts and ability to sort of be around a group of women from around the globe. And one thing that they do that's really cool is part of their fees go towards their WILD Youth Initiatives, which provides scholarship for teens to come attend their super successful swimrun camps. And by the way, their next camp is June 2nd through 7th in Mallorca, Spain, and all experience levels are welcome in case you want to check that out.
Yes, so go to WILD Swimrun on Facebook to get more details on that. So as Chris mentioned, we're totally on board with Mia and Fanny's purpose and mission for WILD Swimrun and the WILD Youth Initiative. So we wanted to announce that we will be doing some Low Tide Boys merchandise, and part of the proceeds from selling the shirts and the sweatshirts and all this stuff that we're going to have will help pay for scholarships for 2 teens, or for some unspecified amount of teens.
Or more.
Or
if,
more.
If people go crazy, yeah.
So we will be donating to help 2 or more teens attend one of their camps, which is a really good way to get women and young women into the sport of swimrun, and with a great inclusive community that really feels like a tribe. So stay tuned to our Instagram, The Low Tide Boys with a Z, or on our website, lowtideboys.com, for more info about when that store will be launching and the merch. But we have some pretty cool ideas we're ready to get out, but we wanted to kind of let everybody know about the fundraiser aspect of one of these pieces that will be for the WILD Youth Initiative to help Fanny and Mia.
We'll also be adding a donate button on our website, and we're trying to figure out how to do that best, and we'll be talking with me and Fanny about that, but we wanted to kind of surprise them on the show as they're listening to this podcast that we're going to do that, because, yeah, again, we were so moved by their story, and we just totally co-sign with what they're trying to do. So we thought it'd be fun to try to have, the Low Tide Boys scholarship for their WILD Youth Initiative. Anyway, I think without further ado, enjoy this episode with the co-founders of WILD Swimrun,
Fanny and Mia.
Amazing humans and super
hell of swim runners.
hell of a swim runners. With us today, we have Mia Rohman and Fanny Kuhn. They're swim runners from Europe, and we're really excited to be chatting with them. We're in Catalina Island.
Literally on
evening.
a wharf.
On a wharf.
Yeah.
You might hear the waves in the background. So welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being on.
Thank you
so much.
So the first thing we always ask everyone that we've had on the show, we've had four people on the show, is a little bit about yourselves, like how you discovered swim run and how you fell in love with the sport.
All right, should I start?
Yeah.
Fanny, go first.
Well, I'm Fanny, and I was a swimmer for like my whole life. And after I was done with my swimming career, actually after I was here in the U.S., I swam for University of Louisville. I got home, and I wanted to try some other sport, and I got into triathlon a little bit, and I did one Olympic triathlon, and I liked it. But then I met a friend that thought I should try a swim run, and before that I had only done like I hadn't run very far. I think, well, whatever you run in the triathlon.
10K.
Yeah, exactly. And he thought I should do Ötillö Uta with him, which is in almost 40 kilometers total. And I don't know, I just couldn't say no to the challenge, so I said yes. And we did it, and we actually ended up winning.
Wow.
It was not easy. And we
I have a question about that, though.
Yeah.
So you were a collegiate breaststroke swimmer. Did
Yeah.
you do the race? Did you do the Ötillö race doing the breaststroke, or did you do like the
No.
regular fly?
No, I mean, it would be nice, but sadly, breaststroke in wetsuit is not recommended.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Oh yeah,
no.
probably a lot of yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
A lot of-
Fly could go, but I think also with the pull buoy, freestyle is
Yeah.
definitely
Oh, yeah.
recommended.
that would just look weird if you're trying to breaststroke with a pull buoy.
or do the
Like
butterfly.
your
I
butt-
can't do the
butt
butterfly
against the water.
anyway. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So-
butterfly. Oh my goodness, that would just be crazy.
But it's good to train butterfly, though. I think a little bit with paddles and stuff, with a lot of power. I do that a lot.
I don't know any strokes. I'm bad.
You
When
just-
when we get a workout that says, IM or something, just free. I
Yeah.
only do free. It's like,
What a backstroke you could do.
well,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can
I mean,
probably
I
do
kind of
backstroke.
know the thing of it, but me butterflying would
Yeah,
look like
he's kinda
I'm
like
having
a
a problem in the water.
He's like an adult learner. So I think only when you're a kid, did they make
Yeah.
you do all this shit.
adult onset swimmer.
Yeah.
I started really swimming when I was like 22 or 23 or something.
But that is early.
Well,
I
he's-
was
he's
We
really-
started 3 years
Oh,
ago.
really?
I started 3 years
Yeah.
ago, so I was like 38.
Wow, so that's a perfect segue into your story.
So I have to, when Fanny writes the swim sessions, I have to translate them because she doesn't understand that the majority of us don't understand what she's writing.
Oh,
It's like
Very
Greek.
sorry about
that.
It's like Greek.
Yes.
And then she adds these little things called fly and stuff. And we're like,
Okay.
what?
or she'll
talking
write
about-
like a 7,000 yard work or
Yeah.
a meter workout, and you're like, my shoulders would explode.
This
with
is
that
the
much.
easy one. I'm like, that's not the easy one. My story into swim run then
yeah,
is a little
sorry.
bit. No, yeah, you forgot me.
Sorry, Mia.
No, it's okay. You forgot about. No, so that's actually almost the reason why I started, because I don't want people to be forgotten. I got into swim run. I said for many years I wanted to learn how to do the front crawl or crawl. What did you say? Freestyle. Crawling?
Freestyle,
Freestyle.
yeah.
And I never got around to it. I like adventures and I like to do things, but somehow the idea of stripping down into a bikini in the middle of the Swedish winter, even if it's indoor in the pool, just like pale,
Yeah.
not nice.
Okay.
To do that, like the threshold was so high, so it took me years. And my ex-husband started, and he started something called swim run, and I thought he was an idiot. I could not understand what he was on about.
Yeah.
But eventually I was like, okay, I'm going to learn this. So I did a crawl course. Or not a crawl course. I did a swim lesson
Okay.
with Envol coaching.
Oh,
And then I went on a camp with him 3 months later to Costa Brava in Spain. And I fell in love with swim run. Like, it was just absolutely amazing.
Seems like a nice place to,
it-
dip your toe
it-
in the swim run in
it's-
Spain.
It's better than a brown lake
Okay.
Yeah.
with no visibility.
Oh, okay.
But for me, I always done a lot of water sports.
Mhm.
So I think swimming, like, it was a natural element in a way. So I fell in love with it, and then the weeks went by, and I started doing a bit in Sweden, and then I was like, oh, I really want other people to experience what I just experienced. And then we spoke to Fanny, and you were racing with another girl as well, but both living in Spain.
So
And
you guys had a mutual friend? Is that how you
Yeah,
met?
yeah, that I met at this camp. And then I just said to her, like, oh, I really want to do a camp for women, by women. I was a bit fed up with men, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we. Yeah,
I
we
don't-
hate guys.
Don't blame you.
So I was like, yeah, we should just be women, because I have 2 kids. Now I generalize, but in general, women don't really take the time for ourselves. So I said, let's do a weekend. It's not too long.
Mm-hmm.
Do in affordable place, because we usually don't really spend that much money on ourselves either,
Yeah.
especially on our training. And we should have only female coaches, because swimrun is a very equal sport,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still more men than women. And I said, I thought that we wanted to showcase women coaches as well.
Do you know
Mm.
what's the percentage of sort of male to female ratio at these races? Do you have a sense of that?
I actually don't know.
I don't know.
I know some of the. I think in Cannes, I'm not sure, but I think in Cannes, in the experience in the sprint, it was 50-50 or even more women.
Wow.
Yeah,
almost.
I know.
Yeah.
For example, the Brecka swimruns have had quite
Yeah.
even races also.
Yeah, but I know that some of the
Yeah.
sprint races, I think with Ötillö are quite equal.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that it's definitely better than triathlon, that's for sure. And I want to say 65, 35-ish. Does that equal 100?
Yes.
Perfect. And so I feel it's not 50-50 where I think
Mm.
everybody wants it, but it's better than a lot of other sports like you
Yeah.
were mentioning there. So
Yeah.
So you guys did a race together though.
No,
Yeah,
so-
that was later.
Yeah.
So
Later.
then we did the first camp. Like we
Mhm.
just tried it out and did it 1 year, and then
we did 2
yeah,
camps,
with
because
2
the
camps
first
1
one
year.
sold out in
Mm,
48
yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
It did actually. So
Yeah.
obviously there was a demand for
2
this
years
and for
ago.
people. Then we did a race together the same year.
Yeah.
Mia flew back like a few like it was like a
And
week
your partner
later.
got injured,
Yeah.
and then I think you tested me a little bit, because I was a rookie and Fanny was the experienced
Ah.
one. And then I think you approved me a bit during that weekend.
No, it was not at all like that. I've already seen how good you were when we were
Yeah,
training
'cause-
together, and then I wanted to race with you.
Did you guys win that race?
Yeah, we
yeah.
did.
Yeah, we did.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I want to go back a little bit to these camps that we kind of glossed over. I mean, you made a camp for women by women. How did that feel, the reception of selling that out? Like, that must have been the most amazing thing. Like, what were your expectations, and did
We-
it meet them or
we had
exceed them? Or
we had no expectations, and I
Yeah.
was out running in the mountains with this other girl when we launched it, and then my phone started going ding, ding, and I was like, "What? What? We're
Yeah.
3 people. We're 5 people."
And the only thing
Wow.
we did to the only thing we have really done to market this is
Yeah.
post in social media about it.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
all our other camps afterwards as well.
So that
So-
was you just put up a website, came up with this
No,
idea.
no, we
This was
just
even
put
before the
we just
website.
put a notice on a swimrun group, basically. We didn't have a
The
website.
first time.
There-
That
there
was
was no-
before we
there
started the brand and
You,
everything.
like,
Yeah.
you even have a name for it.
No. Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
we did. Wild Coast, because Costa Brava is
Oh,
Wild
yeah.
Coast.
Yeah.
Wild Coast camps. Or
Yeah.
I think we
So
had.
it was just
Okay.
for it's still for fun, but it was just
Sure.
and then it took us about, and then the first one sold out quickly,
Yeah.
and then we decided to do a
How-
second camp.
How many people did you have at that first camp?
We were 18 in total.
Yeah.
16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
But we
18.
tried to keep it quite small groups also
Yeah.
because we want to have control and we want everyone to have like their own space and also to be able to have a secure camp when you're doing the swim run in the mountains and everything.
Yeah.
And-
It's important to not
Yeah.
be too big of a group.
And also
Good point.
building the network. We want to build like a female network
Mhm.
of different ages. Like the camp we were at age range from 15 to from 16 to 57 on that camp,
Wow.
and we think it's a brilliant platform of just socializing across borders and across ages.
So this was 2 years ago.
That's 2 years ago.
And how many of that initial 16, 18 people, did they go on to then race a swim run event? or
One
did you guys
girl,
do
one girl
together?
is here now.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, and Becky, she's from
Yeah.
the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have another one, that's here, Gurgit. She's been to a camp 1 year ago in Var.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, we stay in touch, and we're friends now. Like it's
That's
That's awesome.
That's really great.
it's very
Yes,
rewarding.
And it's also Karin that's been to all
Yeah.
3. She signed up this year too, so
Yeah.
she's been with us from the start, and she's come
Yeah.
back every
Wow.
every
Yeah.
time.
And do you keep bringing the same coaches back, or do you kind of shuffle around between a couple of coaches, and who are they? We would love to.
It's
Give-
been us so far,
Okay.
mainly.
Mhm.
We had Elizabeth, another girl, last year because I injured my knee,
Okay.
so I couldn't participate. So then we brought Elizabeth in. So it's mainly been us
Oh, great.
so far.
Awesome.
But we want to build that as well, and to bring in female like endurance coaches. Both to now we started a club. If we skip a bit
Okay.
forward, but we started a swimrun club called WILD Swimrun Club, and we want to there also portray and work together with female endurance coaches. So
So after the first one sold out, which was amazing, you have a second one. At what point are you like, all right, we need to invest some time, put up a website, and really think big?
That was after a year after almost. We decided to do that together.
it was no, it was
Wasn't
6. It was in the fall.
Yeah.
I have to
Maybe.
think about. Well, no, but it was half a year later.
Yeah.
So this
After
the
your second
camps
camp.
were in
Mhm.
March and
Okay.
April, and then I think October, November. We both have been thinking a bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the end, we said we were going to do a new camp, and then I think I emailed you and said, "Do you want to do something more about
Yeah,
it?"
exactly.
And you were like, "Yes."
Let's just do it together.
And that's another thing. We don't really know each other. We didn't know each other, but I just knew that it's more fun to do things together with someone.
Right.
And we
Tethered
had
together.
tethered
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
yes. And we had arranged 2 camps, quite intense camps, and we never had a fight. And I never thought that it was difficult to bring something up with Fanny. It was so easy
Okay.
to do it. And then I said, "Oh, why don't we just?" And I think we complement each other quite well as
Yeah,
well.
and it's gone very well through these years also. We
Mm.
worked very well and
Mm.
communicate well with each other.
Mm.
So
I can't
Okay.
imagine like the logistics of setting a camp up, and how
Mm.
many days is it? Is it for the weekend? So
For-
like Friday,
it's
Saturday.
a long weekend, so it's
Okay.
only from Thursday afternoon to Sunday. So
Okay.
it's only like 3.5
Mm.
days really.
Still more than I
Mhm.
can.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, that's just so impressive, and like you said, a really intense sort of like test for you for your
Mm.
relationship, sort of, which is
Yeah.
Just kind of like swimrun itself.
yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of
Anyway, it's
parallels
almost like a
here.
metaphor.
Yeah.
it really is.
So the website is wildswimrun.com.
We're
Wild
we're
Women
we're
Swimrun?
negotiating that one. It's a wild. For now, it's Wild Women Swimrun.
.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
.com.
Okay.
But we're looking to change to that domain actually.
We'll
Was it available?
we'll put it in the show notes so everyone
Yeah.
can check it out.
No, but
Right.
there's actually a group in Australia called Swimrun Wild, and he has his website in Swimrun Wild, but he has the other domain also. But
We're having a
Oh.
dialogue. so-
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
okay.
see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, keep us posted.
Yeah.
Let us
We
know if
we
you
wanna
need us to
know,
go out
so-
there and talk
Yeah.
to the guy.
If
And
you
then-
Google
put 'em on
Wild
blast.
Swimrun, I'm sure you'll find the
Yeah,
the
or-
website.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're on the different Facebook. There's 2 or 3 primary swim run Facebook groups that you post on that I've seen a lot. So
Yes.
those would be the good ones. And we mentioned those before, but
Yeah.
we'll list them again in the show.
Yeah, and you got all the social medias. So
And
what?
we have our own
what's your
Facebook
ins-
page as well called Wild Swimrun.
Yes.
Perfect.
And
No, I
and
follow
how we structure it is that we say Wild Swimrun community, and we think
Mhm.
that's for everyone. We want to lower the threshold for women or
Yeah.
everyone, but
Yeah, 'cause
especially
they're-
women.
They can
We
ask
have
questions,
yeah,
share
we're there.
resources.
Then you can be. I mean, you can be member in the Wild Swimrun community
Mhm.
on Facebook, and you can go to our website. We have a lot of content. We write some articles about races, about
Yeah.
some people that participate in the camps, and other stuff. So there you can check
would-
it out. if
That's
you
like
want.
that's like a forum for everyone to just make it easy. That's what we want, and that's what
Yeah.
the camps as well. We want to make it accessible,
So-
and we bring gear. They can borrow stuff. They don't have to
Oh, that-
buy lots of stuff beforehand.
Nice.
Mhm.
So we want to make it easy to try.
So let me ask you a little bit about the
Mm.
camps. I mean, such a vast age range,
Mm.
late teens to into the 50s. Kind of what have you found? What are these women when they come there? What do they start with? Like, what was the original reason why? And then I'm
Mm.
sure by the end, And when they're repeating over and over all these years, what are they kind of getting out besides just, oh, I got a good training weekend and I got a lot of miles on my legs.
Yeah, I
but
learned how to swim with the tether.
Yeah. What other stuff in this kind of safe space in the women's only environment that you've created? What are they getting out of that in addition?
I think it was one of the first or the second camp. One woman said to me, this is the first trip she made by herself, and she was 50.
Wow.
And for me, that made it all worth all the hours. That someone put the trust in us to actually, I'm going to go away on my own and do this. We get women that sort of email us that, oh, I really want to go, but I'm a bit scared that I'll be the slow, bad person at the back. And that's why we do it, because it doesn't matter who's last or who's first. It really doesn't matter.
No, we usually try and split it up, so we have a front group and a back group, and sort of gather everyone together along the way.
Yeah, the camps we've had has not been. The focus is not on like being fast or doing mileage. It's about experience and learning and seeing this stunning nature where we are. So there's room for everyone.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that people take with them also, is discovering the nature. Like now we've done camps. The main camp we have each year is in Costa Brava in above Barcelona, where I live, and then so there is really nice nature, and for Nordics, Germans, and people from England to come there and swim in the nice clear waters and see the views there. It's quite something that you take with you and probably want to come back to as well.
I want to go there.
Yeah, I know. What is this?
we said we can do mixed camps if someone hire us to do them.
Well, if you ever need some people to be in the slow group, give us a call.
We'll lead the slow group.
So I think it's really amazing, and we were talking about this before we went on air, that what we're trying to do in the U.S. is really just reduce the barrier to entry, explain the sport to people, and just have it be as diverse and inclusive as possible, and not have it be about necessarily podiuming. If you're fast, that's great. If you're slow, that's great too, and just about experiencing nature and actually taking on this adventure that all these races are. And I see a lot of parallels with what Wild Women's Swimrun is doing. How do you see your role in helping grow the sport, both in the world? That's not even Europe. Just it's a small enough sport that everybody's paying attention from wherever you are. What do you see as your North Star, like your ultimate goal? It's a very heavy question.
We haven't had the yearly conference yet.
But I think to help the sport grow in general, I think, and also to help especially more women to try it and get into it. It's our main goal in all kinds of ways, in all the ways that we work with the community, the club, and the wild teams competing for our brand. It's all to inspire and also to create a community around it, so people feel like they're part of a group that they can ask all the questions, and also just an aid in doing the sport and getting into it.
And also on a different level as well. It's like life is tough. Like we all go through stuff. The older we get, the more shit we basically have to deal with, and sometimes we need a break. And some joy or a relief from whatever it is, and swimrun can be that. And also think that the network that you acquire or we can help to create can give you something extra. I've been helping another girl with her CV, for example. We sort of try to help out in more ways than just swimrun. It grows up sort of.
It's more than
beyond that.
Swimrun, yeah.
It's about feeling good about yourself, and I think that's comes down to the wild youth initiatives that we want to do as well. If we can show teenagers that life might be tough when you're 15, 16, 17, but when you get over that, it's like there's so much more left.
Yeah.
And then how do you know that? Yeah, you have your parents, but here you're sitting at a dinner table with someone that's 20 and someone that's 30, someone's 40 and someone's 50, and you sort of get different perspective on it.
Yeah, that's very insightful.
Tell us more about this initiative that you're trying to build for youth.
Yeah, well, we've always wanted to try and get more young women into the sport, and luckily we were very happy to get a donation last year for it was from Ruben McRae and Ötillö. So we got this donation to towards the Wild Youth Initiative. So we were able to actually offer 2 full scholarships to our camp now in Costa Brava in April.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so
That's great.
we took in some applications, and now 2 girls have gotten it. So they're going to come to the camp and join us there and discover swimrun.
Yeah, and all the girls that didn't get the scholarship, they've all been invited to join the club. So they get a 1-year membership. And we're just starting that off, so we don't have that many members. But the first year, they will sort of be in it for free.
Awesome.
And also the membership fee, a part of that, goes towards the youth initiative.
Okay, so to go back in and
yeah,
feed
exactly,
and
and
feed
we hope
the
to do
fund.
also in the future to do a whole youth camp, like to have for young women.
Now, when you say youth, what do you have a particular age range in mind, or 12 to 18, or kind of what do you think about?
The scholarship we said 15 to 20, and that was basically because you need to be able to travel by yourself to where we are.
Makes sense.
But I have small kids. They're 5.5 and 7.5. So we want to do like a family camp in the future. You can go with your kids.
Cool.
But the youth, maybe 13, 14. So we don't have, but it's I think the age ranges might change for different initiatives that we do.
Okay.
Right.
Great. Nice.
Right. So is the plan to maybe have more camps throughout the year, or keep it? Was that?
We would love to do a
towards
lot, but we also work full time, both of us.
Yes. That old thing.
And it actually
Not the 9 to 5 thing.
It takes some time also to. I mean, it's not just to go somewhere and do the same. I mean, you have to check out the environment and know where you're going and make sure everything's safe before. So it's like, it's not. We have a lot of ideas of really cool places we want to go, but we have to find the time also to check them out and make sure that they work.
We hope to be able to come to America and do a camp here soon.
I mean,
Soonish.
I got a big deck. We can throw some tents out back.
Yeah.
I think we could do it. Awesome. Well, I have a question it might be a loaded one, but we're talking about women, and I know a lot of men, myself included. I know Chris will speak for him here. We want to be allies to this type of movement. What's 1 or 2 things that a male swim runner can do to sort of help a female swim runner feel more welcome, or what can we do to be allies to the female swim run movement or female movement in general?
It's a good question. One very easy, I don't know, an easy answer is to not assume, and this is a bit harsh maybe, to not assume that you're better. I think that happens a bit too often, unfortunately.
I've had my, maybe it's not a lesson, but I've been passed in the water, on the bike, on the trails by so many women. I don't assume that ever anymore. I've had my ass kicked plenty of times.
And we also say at each camp we only have one, not rule, but a wish that everyone introduce one friend to swimrun.
Okay.
So maybe that's something that everyone can take with them, male or female.
Right.
Yeah, but I think also the swimrun sport is already a very inclusive, compared to other sports. I think so. I think it's already very helpful. So I think if we all can be part of spreading the spirit of swimrun and the community that we already have and everything, I think more and more women are going to feel welcome, and as well men. We should keep it equal and open to everyone.
I think when you tried a race, like for Ötillö, for example, if you tried one of the races, it's a very equal sport. You have you have the categories, the men, women, and the mix, but then you also have an overall podium. So if there's a mixed team or a women's team that's first, you win the competition.
Right, and that actually that's not that uncommon, because there's some mixed teams that are just amazing.
Exactly.
So
They just kick ass.
just kick everybody's ass.
Kick everyone's ass.
And female teams as well.
Yeah.
So I think it is really, we love the sport because it is a very equal sport in a way. We just want to make it even more, have even more people doing it because we love the sport.
So how important do you think it is that Ötillö is now in the U.S. for the sport as a whole?
I think it's really cool. But I mean, you in the US, I mean, with you guys and all the other races that are in the US already, I think it's already starting to take off. But also with Ötillö having an event here and bringing many Europeans, also it's fun to mix it all together, the whole swimrun community, and definitely helps also the sport to grow here. But I think if it takes off in this country, it will really help the sport globally also to grow quickly.
Yeah, I know Triathlete, the local Triathlete magazine, seems like every episode they're talking about swimrun now.
Yeah.
Something about
Yeah,
swimrun,
it's like
so
the new thing.
yeah, I'm not going to say it's our fault, but
I don't think it is.
that's why I didn't say it.
Awesome. So what's the next kind of camp that you have coming up, or next thing that you would like to put the word out there about?
Well, the one in April now is been sold out for a while,
Okay.
but we have a camp in Mallorca also in
Okay.
June. It is the 4th to 7th of June. It's
Okay.
also a long weekend camp, and there we will actually focus a little extra on open water swimming. And and beginners are very welcome there. Also, as we'll focus on the swimming and a lot of technique as well.
That's great, because I know open water swimming for a lot of people, swimming in the lap pool is one thing, but you get out there and you think Jaws is going to come up and snatch you out of the water or something's going to happen. But
yeah, so that's awesome. Mallorca is a special place in my heart. That's where I went on my honeymoon with my
nice.
wife and got lost in the mountains on a trail run. It was a lot of fun. But I was found, so I found my way. Found my way. But yeah, so that's an awesome island to pretty much do anything. It's so beautiful. So yeah, and you can learn about that on your website, which is great.
yeah, we'll link that in the show notes, and then also on the Facebook page as well.
Yeah.
And so if people were to take two things away from this show besides joining your Wild Swimrun community and signing up for a training event, how many training how many training camps do you offer a year? It sounds like you're starting to kind of do a spring, a fall.
I think about 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the aim.
And you got to be quick on the registration. It sounds like they sell out pretty fast,
Yeah.
so you better get on it.
Yeah. It's fun for us when it does, because it's very rewarding for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, to take with them, it's easier than you think.
Yeah.
To do it. Doesn't have to be so complicated.
No,
But
and you always find new friends
Yeah.
in swimrun, I think.
Yeah, that's why we're here. We
Yeah.
have like the Wild House up here on the hill behind, and we're a few from UK. They've been to
Okay.
our camps. We are from Sweden, a few of
Yeah.
us, and there's 2 American girls that just found our website and emailed us, and they're doing their first swim run now.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's like the range from world champions like Fanny and partner Desiree to complete beginners that never
we
set
saw
their
your-
foot in the water, basically.
We saw your post on Instagram, and I
Yeah.
thought that was so cool about
Yeah.
probably eight people or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, world champs from first timers,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was really cool. And again, I think that really speaks to just the general community of swimrun, and then obviously the community that you two are building.
And then also, I'm injured. Like I've had a really bad knee injury that I've been struggling with for a year, and I could either I did really good before. Like I was on the podiums on the competitions I competed in, and I could either just be at home and do my rehab in silence, or I decided to still be a part of it. And I'm gonna swim walk the experience tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I love the sport and I want to be part of it, but also to show that, just be part of it. If you're injured, if you can't, just come and cheer then, because it's everything around it. It's just not the race. It's what we do before and what you do after, the memories as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that swimrun and in general, like, this isn't just the race isn't just on Saturday or just on Sunday. There's Friday, there's the trash cleanup on the beach. There's a happy hour that we're going to head to after this. There's another training thing that you hosted. They, it's the whole weekend that it's not just one thing. And I think that's really kind of the underlying foundation for the community.
Yeah, it really enriches your lives.
Yeah, I mean, totally.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to add to that.
So the main takeaway, if you haven't tried swimrun, you should try it.
And if
Yeah.
you want
That's a
help,
good
you
place
can
to
call
start.
us.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want help, find a community
Mhm.
to join to help answer your questions.
Yeah.
So I think with that,
Mm.
Fanny, Mia, thank you so much for being on the show. Have a great race this weekend.
Yeah, thank you. And
Thank
thank
you
you,
so much.
for really bringing something new to the sport as well.
It's new.
It's
It's
No, we love your podcast
Yeah.
Oh.
and your Instagram account.
Awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of
Well,
laugh from
we
that.
really,
Yeah.
we
Thanks for
really
that.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
All
very
right.
You
much.
totally didn't need to say that. We're still gonna, produce this
Yeah.
interview.
How much do we owe you again? Okay. All right, we're going to the happy hour now.
Yeah, we're going to
All
happy
right,
hour.
bye. Thank you for listening to the Low Tide Boys, a swim run podcast. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review on iTunes if you're so inclined.
You can also sign up for a newsletter at lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z. And check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boys on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, drop us an email at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Writing Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swim run activities, hobbies, and other bullshit we do.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
And then a run,
And then another swim.
then another run,
And then another swim.
and then run to the finish line. And just keep going until you're done.
Yes. Or
until
run
you
to
cross the finish line.
or run to the car
Or run to your car.
somewhere. Just keep running.
Please.